All right, welcome out to the field and the range. Today we're going to be doing a little bit of Christmas fun. The crew's out here. We're going to be testing the bullet resiliency of fruitcakes, everybody's favorite holiday cake. Here in just a minute, we're going to have John and Glenn, two of the crew members, go on a little hunt for fruitcake and soda jugs because the landowner tells me that the population's getting out of control and it's season to take care of them right now. After we get done with that, the rest of the crew and I are going to shoot a whole bunch of different calibers at some fruitcakes, and then we're going to sit around, drink some coffee, and have story time and remembrances of Paul. If we get all this done right, this will come to you on Christmas Day. Merry Christmas. Hope you enjoy, and thanks for joining us.
Hello, I'm John.
And I'm that gnome guy, Glenn.
And for this segment, we're going to be doing a little bit of hunting. I'm going to be using Paul's Gold Cup Trophy 1911 Colt Government 45 ACP. If you heard the infamous story about the Colt Defender in the Thanksgiving special, this is what he got to replace it with, and as you can see, did not shoot it to smithereens.
Handy. I'm running the Harrell 444 Marlin. A couple of improvements have been done to it as an XS system sight rail, and I'm going to be using some of Paul's very own 240 grain pistol loads, or pistol bullets that he's loaded to rifle specs. So this should be an exciting hunt. I'm also packing, for just in cases, a 41 Magnum Ruger Blackhawk. Yeah.
I can hear him out there in the wild. Ah, jeez.
Interestingly, the 41 Mag was one of the first guns that Paul and I bonded over. We both had lengthy discussions about it. That's all I'm going to say. And despite that, I have two. Life is weird. What a great day for a soda and cake hunt.
It is unusually nice for a December day here. Oh, I see something.
Take the shot. I think you got it. I think you got it. Let's go check our trophies out. Nice shooting, Tex.
Thanks. All right, so looks like at least one or two hit it and passed right through. So the soda jug. Yeah, you got it dead center.
Anything left? Nope. Ugh, stench. The stench of Shasta. Oh. Holy crap. A bunch more.
Quick, get the one to the left. Wow, that was actually kind of a combo. You hit.
Take it quick. Whew. That was close.
Take it still. Got him.
It's dead now.
Wow.
Whew. We saved a whole family there.
Well, if nothing else, the 440 Marlin is exceptionally effective against fruitcake.
Paul said something about these bullets being pretty dang explosive. That one lived.
That one did live.
Huh.
Take a step back, bud.
As it should be.
All right, well, it looks as though most of our targets were destroyed. Unfortunately, though, 2 of them did manage to live, so it looks as though Glenn and I are going to have to finish the job here a little more close range.
I think you're right.
I'm Jim. This is nothing special. It's a 44 Magnum Anaconda, and that is a 870 12 gauge. Personally, I think this is going to be underwhelming. We're going to find out. At which time I'm going to ask Roy to hand me that, so we can hopefully keep everybody entertained. We'll find out. Yeah.
Fruitcake's tougher than you think it is.
It is.
We better gun up.
How's that?
That's better. Shoot it again.
Well, okay. Make sure it's dead, right?
There we go.
And there you have it.
Hey everybody, this is my pet Vepr 12. I've got a full choke on it and a bunch of buckshot in here because fruitcake are hard to kill.
Hi, I'm Saul. So, you can never be too careful with fruitcake. I gotta tell you, no one loves fruitcake and no one hates it more than I do. When I say you can't be too careful, well, today I went ahead and brought my Dan Wesson 357. I brought my Smith & Wesson Model 29 44 Magnum. I brought my Smith & Wesson 500 Magnum. I brought my 38 Model 36. I brought my P65 Smith & Wesson, or I'm sorry, 6R. And I also brought, I hope we don't have to get to it, my baby Browning, 25. Oh, and before you call me a FUD, just 1 second. These are also my pistols, my 2011 and my Laugo Alien. Well, start off with the 357. That works. 44. Well, that does not work. Okay, must get bigger. And that's how you do it.
Please tell me you got that on film.
See you later, Space Cowboy.
Well, at least you didn't fall down.
Saul's 500 Magnum. Being shot better than Saul. Maybe. See if I can do this again.
Good pull, except you pulled up just a skosh.
Whew. All right, so it's my turn. So what I've got here in my Beretta 32-inch barrel, 3.5-inch, 10-gauge Magnum is 18 pellet double-aught buck. But before we get to that, we're going to do a little demo. We're going to go from Smith & Wesson's largest caliber to Smith & Wesson's smallest caliber and 22 long rifle. Got loaded up with CCI mini mags, Paul's favorite. You're going to see if one-handed, if I can hit a couple fruitcakes. Maybe not. Well, it does do some good. No, appendix carry. Let's see how this does. Okay. Well, we're going to put some guns away, get to story time. All right, so we've done our shooting. We've blown up a lot of fruitcake, taught them a lesson or two. Hopefully the hunt went well. We eradicated some of the fruitcake trying to take over the property here, some of the soda jugs too. Got ourselves some coffee. We boiled over the fire while we were all over playing with firearms. You guys see some nice firearms, some proof that we're not all fuds. And now it's story time around the fire, and Saul is sacrificing because the wind's blowing that way, even though my solo stove, just so you know, they do smoke when the fire's out of them. The whole thing is to reburn, but you know, we want some more. So here we are. Again, Merry Christmas. Thanks for joining us. And before I forget, we'll mention everybody on the crew. We got Jim, Glenn, no man, myself, Roy, Saul. John had to take off early, go pick himself up a new puppy.
Literally.
Brad is up in Montana enjoying himself. And then we got Greg and Chuck that aren't out here today. I think that's everybody, right?
No,
Who did we
we're
miss?
missing one.
Besides Paul.
No, we're missing
Brian.
Brian.
There you go.
Brian.
That sucks to be me.
I didn't hear from Brian either. Did
You know,
anybody?
he never got on the text.
Oh, he's busy. You know,
He's
you
busy.
get a property out in the middle of nowhere,
Yeah, that's true.
And winter coming.
winter coming, and the Scotch broom.
When you say middle of nowhere, what's middle of nowhere mean?
Where the snow is up there in the hills.
Undisclosed
close.
location.
Yeah.
Undisclosed location.
OPSEC.
Yes, we don't disclose those things. Although, if you Googled my name, you'd find out everything I've done in the last 2 years in a heartbeat.
Oh, it's been a lot too.
It actually has.
Are you stalking
So-
him?
Well, Saul started a new Espresso with Saul channel
That's
that he
true,
promises
did.
some stories with
Yeah.
about Paul on.
Yeah.
So maybe he can give us a sampling of that in just a minute.
I just might, be picking up on that here after the first of the year because my wife and I had our first grandchild. So my wife's my cameraman.
Yeah.
She's fantastic at it. She's really good, even better than your kid over here.
Yeah, probably.
So,
That's setting the sights high.
Unfortunately, she's hanging out with her daughter down in Klamath Falls here for the next. I'm hoping she'll be back before the end of the new year.
Are you going to go down there for Christmas?
What's that?
You going down there for Christmas?
No.
You're gonna have
I'm sitting around eating Cheetos in my underwear all day long.
That's too much information, man.
It's traditional in these holiday specials that the weather doesn't agree with us.
Well,
And all of our socks are migrating.
of course they are. Well, at least we got them on camera first.
Yeah.
So
Deal with it.
everybody got a stocking. Hopefully they're back there somewhere still. And it's just Paul's way of making sure we know that we're out in the field
Yep. Freezing
And
our
it's-
asses off.
and raining. Because
Where-
Paul
where's
would have
the
never
rain?
made.
The rain has not come today. I got to tell
Well,
you, it
thank
doesn't
you.
feel right.
Yeah, Paul
No.
would not have made a fire.
No.
No.
Don't encourage the rain to show up.
Well,
You got to pull that table back and it's getting ready to.
Yeah.
that's a Paul table. It's okay.
Well,
Yeah, there we go.
now your
It's
Microphone.
okay.
microphone's
We're good.
gonna be a heated conversation.
Well, they'll make you feel better. We'll have just the flames. A true Yule log type fire you'd watch on TV.
You wanted us to discuss Paul stories. I've got a couple. I've
Before
got
you go
several.
there, okay. Before you go there, I want you to, if you haven't, and can't remember if we have, if you haven't, tell a 30-second version of how you met Paul and where you come from.
How I met Paul was in the halls of our junior high. That dates us. He was a year behind me. He and I got along really good.
So you're old.
Yeah,
We're
so are you, dude. We all are. So I've honestly known Paul for long time. We won't even go there. But we've been on several hunts here. We more or less grew up together. And you too, JR. Roy.
Yeah. Whoever.
Sorry. I know him by a different name, so bear with me.
Incognito.
Yeah.
My alias.
Code names.
Yeah. So we'd go out and do the possum hunts and stuff. That was always good fun.
Oh, those were fun.
Yeah, they were. We just drove around, burned up a bunch of gas, but we didn't drink or didn't do any of that stuff.
No. We went out and we ran out in the fields and tried to bludgeon possums because we
Yeah.
had to keep them under control.
Yeah. Something to do. Anyways, and on one of our hunts out in eastern Oregon, you have to picture this. It's literally no degrees, okay? Maybe sometimes down to 10 below at night. But I was having problems with my truck, and one of the cells in the battery was dead. It's a long story. And unbeknownst to us at the time, it came to the point where you couldn't shut the truck off. So for whatever reason, I shut the truck off thinking I could start it again and whatever, but we were out there probably about half a mile off the highway and the damn truck won't start. There was another one of the guys with us, just Paul, me, and Mark, and I mentioned that, hey, once we get the truck started, it's fine. We'll just go straight home, but we can't shut it off. The problem is getting the truck started. So he goes, I'll go down to the highway and flag somebody down. Knock yourself out, dude. And before I had the hood up, he had somebody up there ready with jumper cable. I couldn't believe it. So we got the truck started and came home. Another time, I don't even remember if that was the same trip, but they all kind of blend together after a while. Paul has always been a good shot. I've always tried to. I couldn't keep up with him. I don't think anybody here could. He was always a good shot as long as I've known him. And there was this rabbit out there. It was not a lot of shooting opportunities. I'll put it that way. But this rabbit happened to commit suicide this one day, and he runs out there and sits up on his back feet. Must have been out there 350 yards. With Paul's 22, he raises up, and I go, oh, you're not even going to get close to it. Bang. Rabbit falls over dead. I couldn't believe it. One shot, one kill.
Well, I've seen him hit a running jackrabbit with it was a thumb hole stock, not AK-47. It was, I don't know, a different country's version of the AK-47.
The Wasser.
It was a Wasser, I believe,
Yeah.
with a thumb hole stock. And he hit a running jackrabbit 147 yards on the run, like in the third shot or something. I couldn't believe it. But, I mean, you know, bragging a little, we've all had a couple good shots of running jackrabbits.
Total luck. Yeah, but Paul.
Well, when you do it
his-
consistently, it's not as much luck.
Yeah. Then before he passed, I cut my Sturgis trip short so I could come back and compete against him with him, whatever you want to call it, one last time, and shooting bowling pins. And I posted some videos. I told you guys about them. They're just some stuff that I cobbled together, and don't expect movie quality like what Roy and Paul does. And now
And salt.
Non-movie
now
quality,
Saul.
yeah.
So
His backdrops. I don't know. My backdrop for Thanksgiving was pretty nice.
that was a good one.
That was a nice one.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't an elegant kitchen with a super supreme espresso machine, but
No, but you're
it was
100% right. Paul, the only reason he'd light a fire is for Dutch oven shit.
Right.
Yeah. He wouldn't-
Otherwise, he didn't want to deal with it.
well, he didn't want to be sappy,
Yeah.
and not to be too sappy. So the day he passed, you called him that morning
I called him that
and
morning.
talked to him for hour and a half, whatever.
Yep.
Which gave me the time, because they called me and said, now's the time
Yep.
to get there from where I live
He told
to
me
where he was.
He told me you were on the way.
He was gone 10 minutes after I got there.
Really. Mm.
Yes. I didn't, my biggest regret is I didn't get a last minute personal goodbye type conversation from him.
Good, thanks, man.
But, yeah. So
Well-
if you hadn't talked to him, I wouldn't have been there in time to say
Probably.
goodbye and hold his hand.
Probably.
Which is just
Yeah,
weird because we didn't know. I mean, we hadn't talked.
No,
right? So
no, and I didn't know that he was going to pass that quickly.
nobody did.
And
He was ready.
he was ready.
Yes.
He was,
Honestly, he was ready a week before.
yeah.
He was ready a week before. I'm glad I got to spend my time with him a
But
couple days before.
I cut my Sturgis trip short, and I'm so thankful I did that. And I got my wife to thank for that. She could tell I was preoccupied when we were there, and she thought different. She came to a conclusion that I wanted to be there with anybody else other than her. And I go, what the hell are you talking about? She goes, well, it's obvious you're all preoccupied and everything. And I said, no, I have a friend at home and he doesn't have long, and I'm wondering if I should be here. And God bless my wife. She said, she made the call. Let's leave. Let's go home. By this time it was pretty late in the day, and she walked over to the place we were staying at and told them we were pulling out and told them why. I wish I could remember the name. It's in Deadwood Gulch. In fact, I think that's what it's called, Deadwood Gulch Inn or some damn thing like that. And they refunded our money, and the way they were talking, I think they were familiar with Paul. So, anyway, so we did him out right back home and got home in time for the last shoot. And in the shape of Paul was in, he still beat my ass.
Oh man.
Well, yeah.
And he told me afterwards, he didn't win it, but he told me afterwards, he goes, I was more worried about falling over than I was about hitting the target.
Yeah.
Typical Paul.
So, Glenn, how'd you get involved in this
Yes.
group?
What's it? It's a long, sordid, and tangled story that starts out with
A gnome hat, by any chance?
No.
Yeah, what's the story with the gnome hat?
Well, let's go to the story about us first. Then you can tell us.
yeah.
Well, so my friend Brian, whom I met way back in the days before there was like actual social media, and you had to like hang out with people on bulletin boards to talk about guns. That'll put you. That makes you old, doesn't it? Anyway,
Bulletin boards.
bulletin boards, yeah. AK47.net. Back in the day. Anyway, so Brian and I met and developed a friendship, and several years later, one time he's like, "Hey, you want to come to this secret island thing?" I was talking to my buddy Paul, and he said, "Bring you along." And I didn't get a chance to for a couple of years, and then I got an invite to go jackrabbit hunting. So I go jackrabbit hunting, and I meet Paul and Roy, and had a great time. And in Paul found somebody who was just as geeky about firearms and cartridges as I was, and we just, ended up hitting it off and hanging out.
And then you taught him how to fish at Devil's Lake.
As a matter of fact,
That SOB was the only one that would actually catch any trout out of there. All the rest of us, same setup. He'd catch a dang trout. They're stocked, but it doesn't matter. And we were catching little perch that long. I mean, maybe if you got a big one, it was that long. Like, we're using the same bait. We're 5 feet apart from each other.
That's what she said.
yeah. Yeah, that was the fishing stuff was good times. I like shooting and fishing and motorcycles and it was neat to just we'd sit there and we'd intentionally fish for perch because nobody's going to keep them, and they can be caught and released without causing them a lot of difficulty.
Oh, yeah.
And so we'd, whether it was in Pendleton or out by a place on the coast, we'd hang out and we'd catch
Doesn't
these
matter.
perch and
Doesn't matter where I sit.
Why don't
I
you go-
swear to God.
Follows
Here,
beauty.
It is
sit
Yeah.
over
following
there.
me.
Sit right there.
here's
For
a
God's
Paul
sake.
moment. The smoke
Just
follow
kick the wood out of the
beauty.
way. Sit right there.
You be the judge.
Oh, now we'll get thousands of comments. Is he married? He's so cool. I know he's rich because he's got all those Lago aliens and giant handguns, and
I thought you were talking about me.
you too. But
I'm blocking you.
You're fine. You're fine. He moved the camera.
Oh, did he? Okay.
yeah, we're good.
Jeez.
Talk about impromptu,
Well,
Yeah.
true behind
Yeah,
the
so
scenes,
it's
sitting around a fire stuff. Well, we know how I got here, and
How the hell did you get
Yeah.
here?
well, a
You never
year
told
ago,
us
this month, a year ago, Paul introduced me to the rest of the world on his channel. And it took me 10, 15 takes to get a 30-second thing out. I couldn't believe, it was terrible. And here we sit now. So we've made some progress. The whole channel's made some progress. We're going to shamelessly plug that we're going to continue this kind of format. Bring in the crew in. Get some younger shooters in here. I think we saw that John needs some help.
Yeah.
So, but we do have in the 1.5
John-
update, we got a little tidbit in there. We're gonna get John on a program, gonna get him out here and show how we can improve shooters, and we're gonna do some other things. But today's not about the future here. It's about Christmas, celebrating Paul. Yep, and just enjoying being out here. Even one of my weird things is I love wind through fir trees. And,
That is weird, man.
it is. I just love that sound.
I don't.
I know, because that causes you work. But I just love the wind through the fir trees. And the wind's blowing and it's slightly drizzling on us or starting to. But without Paul crying on us or pouring buckets down on us, it wouldn't be a video, would it? Anyway, Saul, now that you're out of the smoke and we can see your beauty and,
Yeah, and
you know.
I'm not crying on video now.
Okay.
That's good.
oh, that was the excuse. Okay.
Let's see. I met Paul. Okay. I want to say it was 87 or 88. He was, well, I was working delivering sheetrock and roofing material for a building supply company. And Paul joined us there. And apparently, Paul's family, and Roy's family, actually knew the owner of the company at that time. You know, the funny
Yes,
thing-
we got a job on who you know.
Well, funny thing about that company is back then they didn't really care if you had a commercial driver's license in order to drive semis. So we got to hop behind the wheels of 85,000 GVW Brownie transmission, 25 speeds, and Road Ranger 15 speeds.
Flatbeds hauling sheetrock.
Oh yeah, it was good stuff. I remember
All a
one
bunch of
point in
kids doing
time,
stupid stuff.
Paul was, we were in one of the large flatbeds, fully loaded, heading out South Salem. And Salem's pretty flat for the most part, but it's funny, on this particular road, there's a hill, and the hill goes straight down and straight back up, and this is very steep. I hazard a guess that it may have been, half mile down, half mile back up the other side. And at the bottom, there was another road that tees into this particular road that they're on. And like I say, Paul was driving, and the top speed in this vehicle was about 54 to 55 miles an hour. And I looked over at him and I jokingly said, hey, if you hit the gas a little bit, we might be able to get up the other side, without too much trouble. Well, the funny thing is Paul did that. I'd say about halfway down, I look over at Paul. I'm white knuckling, hanging onto my seat. No, there were no seat belts in there. And Paul's white knuckling the steering wheel like this. And I said to him in a soft voice,
You have a soft voice?
Tried just touching the brakes, just a little bit, to see if it will slow down. And he said this to me.
Yeah.
Now, I see a vehicle pull up to the stop sign at the bottom of the hill, and all I could think of, oh, by the way, we were traveling somewhere between 80 to 85 miles an hour down this hill now. And all I could think of is, if this vehicle at the bottom of the hill pulls out, we're all going to die in a cloud of sheetrock dust. Well, fortunately for us, that car did not pull out, and we made it up the other side of the hill without actually shifting gears, which was insane. So that's one of my Paul stories there. I got to see Paul a couple days before he passed. We went out shooting. And at that point in time, Paul was able to shoot as long as he was seated. And what did it decide to do? It decided to pour rain the instant we got out there. So we pretty much spent most of that time sitting in the truck, just talking.
That's not bad either.
Yeah.
I need to take care of a technical thing. Mr. Technical person, how is the battery so we don't die in the middle of a story? Hey, battery, how is it so we don't die in the middle of a story? Okay.
Let's see. Jackrabbit story for Paul. This should relate with you guys here. We decided to go over. I don't remember what the reason was for, but we decided to go over there in July. Now, where we jackrabbit hunt is a place called Paisley, Oregon. And in July, it's somewhere between 90 and 115 out there.
And mosquitoes that carry you away.
Well, I was going to get to that
Yeah.
point. It was insane. Oh, it was so hot. And we're out there, and we're just hiking around, not seeing very many jackrabbits. But that night, all we were doing, we were young, and we're just throwing down our sleeping bags on top of the ground. Mm-hmm. And the problem is, it's so damned hot that you want to unzip the sleeping bags, but there's so many mosquitoes out there that you zip up the sleeping bag so you just have your nose and your eyeballs shining through. And we were using the military grade
DEET.
Mosquito repellent.
Yeah.
And we've got that on damn near on our eyeballs and our nose, and that's it. And all that stuff is some sort of a nerve agent anyway. Yeah, I know.
That explains the tick.
Tested out on you guys, and it was awful. It was just a horrible night because it didn't matter. Those mosquitoes
So it's typical
were
Paul's
landing
trip.
on my eyeballs, trying to dig into my face. It was horrible.
He told me.
Think about having a shitty trip like that he'd want to go right back there the next week.
It builds character.
Yeah.
And nobody ever tells a
No.
story about the trip that was just perfect.
I will say.
Well, fair enough.
True.
I will say though, we did not go back again in July for one reason and one reason only, because when we bagged one jackrabbit and actually killed 8 because there were 7 babies inside the jackrabbit,
Yeah.
we decided, oh, that's why we never go hunting this time of year.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's why he didn't. And I
Yes.
told that story, I think, for Thanksgiving or at some point.
Yep.
But yes, that's why we went in the most miserable time of the year,
Yep.
because there were no little ones,
Uh-huh.
there were no pregnant ones,
Right.
And no mosquitoes.
and no mosquitoes. The only challenge was driving 6 hours in 4-wheel drive and sliding on roads to get there.
Right.
There should
But once you
actually-
got there, it wasn't too bad.
There should be a YouTube channel for just how bad the mosquitoes are. And
Well, they have a
Central
mosquito
and Eastern.
population.
Just-
I mean,
just
they have
so.
a mosquito festival in Paisley.
I can believe that.
It wasn't too bad when we got older and could afford the hotel. When we
Well-
were camping out and it was,
You-
-5, -10.
You leave
Yes.
town with $20.
Yes, yes. Those are good times.
Oh, that cheapskate son of a booger brother of mine. So you couldn't tell him anything, right? I mean, he knew it all.
Yes, you did.
So one year we were over there, and it's his rig and his pickup, and so we're whatever. And it's January 1st weekend, and we're coming home on January 1st, and I'm like, hey, your gas gauge is just bouncing on E. Oh, but the gas station here, they leave it open, or I'm sure they'll be, okay. Well,
where this
2
is
more trips to the field and back, the gas gauge was below E. And he's like, and we, I told him, hey, you probably should double check. So come New Year's Day, the gas station wasn't open and the pumps weren't on. Luckily, the local mercantile was open. And luckily, they had 2 gallons of Coleman stove fuel. White gas for all the rest of us out there, but Coleman stove fuel, 2 gallons of it, and that's what he bought because it was still like $13 or $14 a gallon. So,
Then, yeah.
but yes,
Yeah.
but that would get us to the next gas station that was 20 miles up the road. So he poured that in there, and it pinged a little bit.
It did.
But he never said, "Hey, you were right. I should have fueled up a week ago." But no, hell, I mean, for a guy that always came prepared, he ran it to the bitter damn end. But anyway, that's another fun story. We did make it up to the gas station, filled up, came home just fine.
His competitive nature, though. The other thing, I got to bring up another jackrabbit story. Since you're
Why he
bringing
would
that up.
always necropsy.
Oh, yeah.
Rabbits to see which caliber went through it.
Yeah.
Just if 2
Yeah,
guys
he's
shot
always-
pretty close.
That's where I think his idea for the meat target came along.
Probably.
But I'll tell you, the funny thing is and I know it didn't look like it today, but there were a couple of occasions on jackrabbit hunts where I was out shooting Paul, or at least keeping pace with Paul.
Oh,
And, that SOB, I would leave
we say tenderly and
on
lovingly,
Saturday or Sunday, and he would stay an extra day or two
just to get more
say He
rabbits.
shot more rabbits
Yes.
than I did.
Because he kept track, although he didn't. We weren't keeping track, but he'd keep track.
It's funny. I was shooting more back then than I am now, and holy cow, man! We had a couple of good runs, and I swear both times he stayed longer because I had to go back to
Right.
work.
Yeah.
And
So Jim and I go back to high school. I was a year ahead of him. Paul was a year behind him. Anyway, somewhere between Jim and Mark, they figured out that this area, we've been going jackrabbit hunting for off and on 40 plus years now. That at this particular time, there were more rabbits than there were people in that corner of the state. I mean, jackrabbits were off the hook.
everywhere.
Yeah, so, I mean, Idaho had them by hundreds of thousands of jackrabbits. They were running crazy.
Drive down the road.
So we went over there as, well, let's see, I could drive, so it was the junior year, but, just after school got out, we took a trip over there. June, had transmission issues, went over the first time. We went over there, slaughtered jackrabbits like crazy. It was fun. Yeah, that was a fun trip. mosquitoes like crazy. Paul and I went back Christmas break then, the following, that same year, but December of that year, and slept in a tent. He slept in the car, spilled water on his sleeping bag. It was like 10 degrees. It was so cold that the gun oil we put on our 22s, the slide you could see function. It would function, but you could hear it and see it. It was that cold. And jackrabbits were just holding underneath the.
You gotta check them.
I mean, they even get them. Yeah, they were. You could walk up on them. They were just sitting still. And if you didn't know, little piece of information, jackrabbits live on the top of the ground. They do not make burrows, which is weird because the only cover they have is sagebrush, big sagebrush, little sagebrush, but that's it, at least in that area. And they live on top of the ground. They're a hare technically. Anyway, but yeah, we had a good trip, and then we've been going back off and on, but yeah, fun times.
I miss him.
Well, we all do.
Yeah.
Unless he makes it rain on me and makes me torture, So even at that, I think he's just seeing how dedicated I might be. I don't know, but
Some people bring bad weather with them.
You can blame that on Saul. Then.
no. Well, yeah.
Blame that on you.
I'll take it.
We can't blame it on John because he's the new guy and he's gone.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
So,
And he's so, unless the weather is trying to drown out his optimism and his perkiness and, is always smiling and thankfulness. So other than that, yeah, we can't really blame it on him. But, oh, well.
He had lightning fast reflexes. I just want to say that.
who, John or Paul?
Paul.
Oh, yeah.
On a rabbit hunt. He whacked a rabbit with a shotgun before. I mean, I think he had it blasted before the sound of him saying "jackrabbit" reached my ears. I was just
That, I'll tell you,
crazy.
jackrabbit hunting, if you want to test your optics, you want to test your combat gun, you want to test your skills, find a place that you can shoot running fast targets. I don't care if they're cottontails, jackrabbits, birds flying, drones.
Who said that?
I don't know, but I hear it's a big thing right now. But you want that? For us, jackrabbit hunting is my goodness. You want to figure out whether your red dot is you're able to get on targets that are moving. That's the place to figure it out.
Combat shooting skills.
Oh my God! If you can hit a running jackrabbit, well, even with a shotgun, and swing on it and hit it, I'll take it. You don't
Otherwise,
have to
I'll
dump
drink
it out.
all.
Yeah, well, I'm doing my best. There you go. But it's a challenge. You want to know whether you can get on target with your deer rifle because a buck jumps up in front of you? You'd go over there. It's fun, and it's just one of those things. You get people online. You got to make sure to follow all your firearm safety rules.
Discipline, yeah.
Muzzle discipline, zones of fire discipline, because you can't be swinging through the line when the jackrabbit runs back between everybody.
And they'll do that.
Yeah,
Oh, they always do.
We
Yes.
always had, we would have a deer or elk rifle jackrabbit hunt. We would have a shotgun hunt. We would have our 22 hunt.
An
We'd have
AR.
a pistol hunt. We'd have
An Old West hunt.
An Old West hunt. Oh, God.
Yes, we
I-
took an
You
arsenal.
you get bored with decimating them with,
Yes, you
with
do.
1022s.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
So, yes, because when the rabbits are good, we would get bored because they're close enough. You hit them with shotguns. They're a little bit farther. You hit them with 22s. But we got to the point that we would literally have a deer rifle hunt.
Yep.
Whatever deer rifle you want, bring it out. We'd have a handgun only hunt. So whatever handguns you want to carry, 2 or 3 different calibers, whatever. We'd have, I won't use the words, but let's just call them black rifle hunts. We'd have Old Westy hunts. So anything I want to say, 1800s. So your Winchester Model 97s, 1897, yeah. Those, any lever guns, cap and ball revolvers, black powder rifles, whatever you wanted in that era. Double-barreled shotguns, we're all good. What else did we have? 22 only hunt.
Yep.
Just
22 pistol only hunt.
yeah, pistol only, but yeah, 22 only hunt. So yeah, and then we go out and walk a couple 3 miles looking for rabbits and turn around, come walk a couple 3 miles back, and
We did find out that if you're using a 9mm, don't use ball ammo on the jackrabbits,
So-
because we found that we were wounding them and not finishing them off.
Yeah.
So it became imperative. We learned these things over time. It became imperative using a 9mm. Well, even a 45. You want to use full metal or hollow
Better
points.
ammo. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the same goes with 22. I mean, you got to use hollow point
Yep.
22s.
Yep.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you'll hit the damn thing and not
I-
even know it.
I borrowed somebody's M1A1, and Paul gave me some 308 rounds, and I went over there shooting jackrabbits, and I could hit them, but the rabbits weren't even acting like they were hit, and then you'd get them, and you'd figure, well, we tested these rounds later, and apparently they were armor-piercing rounds, so they had
That
a
makes
steel
a
core,
difference.
and just that weight. Now I shot them with standard ball 308 also, and that rolls them. It does a job on them, but apparently that weight of that steel core was just enough. Those rabbits, it didn't even affect them. So I mean, rabbits aren't armored, but apparently those rounds did what they were supposed to. Speaking of that 7.5 FK, the Burno did a pretty good number on Fruitcake today.
Oh yeah, that's an amazing cartridge.
And so that particular gun, we got a review coming out on it soon, but it's weighted, so it doesn't have very much recoil. The rounds are coming out at 1,700 plus feet per second. They do amazing devastation. Huh?
With
95 grain nose discarding hollow point or 101 grain flat nose solid copper. They're both solid copper bullets, but
How good of a group can they shoot?
the group that you can shoot a good group with it.
Can you?
But that particular one has really tiny sights, and for old man eyes, that's a little challenging. But I mean, I could hold a group like this roughly at 25 offhand, so it shoots a good enough group. The gun's fine. At 100, I kept a group about like this at 100, off of the rest over here. But yeah, so I mean, I think in Paul's thing when he did his review of the full size one, when we have compact, they told him it's a bear killer, it's not a concealed carry gun. Well, we put it through the bear analog meat target, and it's a bear killer. Even those lightweight bullets, they're traveling fast enough and they're solid enough. They
I
flat.
thought maybe you'd want Saul's 500 Magnum for bears.
Well, so here's
Just a thought.
the thing.
There's a fascinating Venn diagram on recoil versus number of rounds fired.
Yeah.
Yes, there is. And so this, now you can't doubt a 500 Magnum and punching a 50 caliber hole through something with that grain, a 400 grain bullet. There's no doubt that's going to get the job done.
500, 600, and 700 grain penetrators for it also.
Okay, but you're not shooting those really fast.
No.
So my thing, what I think this particular Burno gun, I think would make a great fly fishing, you're carrying it for bear, whatever gun. It's the same weight, it's shorter, it's got 15 rounds in the magazine, and from the results we got, it's going to do the job. It's going to, if you're shooting those solid bullets, it's going to go through any bear skull.
Are you going to choose that or your 10 millimeter?
Oh, I choose that.
Okay.
It puts a 10 millimeter to shame.
Okay.
I mean, yeah, and it's carrying the same number of rounds. Okay. Now, the gun's heavier.
Ammo's more expensive.
Yes, they're working on that. I mean, it's expensive. It's not going to, it's never going to overtake a 10 millimeter, but if you can afford it, I think it's a really good cartridge.
For the amount of power it packs, the recoil is minimal enough to
Right.
make it really, really
See, and it
good.
recoils less than the 10,
Yeah,
far less than your 500, even with an 8-inch barrel.
like 9mm-ish recoil wise,
Yeah.
maybe.
And so what I said in this video is I think it's going, if you're looking, you can put a light on it, you can put a red dot on it.
Right.
If you're looking for something, you're in the camp and it's bear country and you hear a bump in the night, this is the gun you want to pick up to go out there with.
Do they come cut for optics?
Yep,
Because,
sure does.
With old man eyes,
That's the problem I had
I'm
with the
pretty
sights.
much switching over to red dots
Yeah.
on damn near everything I use.
Yes, and yes, it does. Comes all pre-cut. Put an RMR right on top of it.
Excellent.
So, anyway, those,
So would you choose the full size or the compact?
Well, given that you only get a 300 foot per second difference in an inch and a half of barrel, I'd take the compact just because it's a little bit shorter, and it's still 1,700 plus feet per second. So, I mean, you're not you're not losing it. It went through that bare analog. You'll have to watch the video, folks. It'll be out soon. But you got to, it flat gets with it. So
You gonna release that video before or after this one?
hopefully it'll be out before this one. So never mind what I just said.
If you haven't seen the video, you'll want to go back and
Yes.
watch.
Yeah, what he said.
So no cooking today. Sorry, couldn't come up with anything other than
Well, we
if you
showed
don't like
already.
fruitcake, we made your day.
That's
We
okay.
hate fruitcake.
We didn't want to eat Roy's cooking anyway.
No, but you would have loved the bison stew.
I bet I would, actually.
Yeah.
That turned out really, really well.
We did this crazy, the best fishing trips are the one where you don't really catch anything, but you have
Sure.
an adventure.
Oh, okay. Oh, you mean you went on an adventure, another one with Paul?
We went on another adventure.
Okay.
Paul was there. In fact, it was the one where we took pictures for the Pop-Tarts ad where he's in the kayak.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. A little known lake it's a known lake in Oregon, but what's not known is that there are fish in there because you can't catch any because they're just hard to catch.
Okay.
But so weather's horrible. It's snowing. It's raining. It's icky. It's damn cold, and we survived the night in our separate tents. And the next morning, almost as if by magic, Paul's got this gigantic spread for breakfast out for us, and freaking fabulous cook.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
and in a camping situation, it's always fabulous if you're not cooking it, right? I mean, if somebody's made the bacon,
He insisted
that's-
on that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
always
Well,
best bacon ever.
Oh,
but
yeah.
if you would, Paul ended up with food poisoning 3 times in his life to put him in the hospital.
Gee.
So he was that. And again, that rotten SOB, I'm his damn brother. That's my camp name, is my damn brother. But he'd been let down a few times. So he was, I'll bring it all. You just pay me money. You show up. You bring your guns. If you don't bring your gun, that's your problem. I'll probably have one for you anyway. Right?
Yeah.
So he'd been let down a few times. So especially like on rabbit hunts and stuff. But I really made him, I think, one, he controlled what was eaten and how and made and so on. So he felt, all right, well, battery died. But what I was saying was Paul liked to do all the cooking and he liked to, make sure that all the food was there and stuff. But he had this, and he made for Brian's birthday up at Secret Island one year. He had what we called his Easy Bake Oven. And I think it's a Magic Chef brand, but it is a tabletop, 2 burners. You can put the green bottles on it, propane stove, with an oven. It's just barely small. It'd be like you'd get in a small camper.
Oh yeah.
But it would like sit on this, and it'd be about this tall. It was the neatest thing ever, and I need to buy one just because they're really neat. But I think I kept telling him he needed to have that up at his cabin, Casa Grande.
Oh, yeah.
There.
Yeah, that would have been great.
It would have been. You just put it there with a little 5-pound propane tank underneath it. But yeah, that thing was super cool, and he took it up. Like they camped one year at Secret Island, and yeah, made Brian some really big, nice chocolate muffins for his birthday, and
We were going to do a lot of cool stuff at Casa Grande there. We
Yeah.
had a lot of things planned for that. Yep.
yeah.
Sure did miss out on that.
Well,
Well, the Thanksgiving before he passed, he was wanting to film a video up there, and he insisted on doing all the cooking. And he wasn't. You remember, he wasn't getting around too well. And
no.
And we were trying to get him to say, "Dude, just tell me what you want. I'll get it."
Well,
We filmed a couple of videos, and God, I miss him.
he
What a downer.
so just over a year ago now. So not this Thanksgiving, obviously. Thanksgiving of 23, coming up to. He was telling me. I mean, we knew he was sick and so on. But he was telling me if it was the last thing he did, that video was getting done.
Yep.
because I mean that's something that he had to do for you folks, the viewers. He had to get that done.
Told me that a lot of people, a lot of folks look forward to it.
Oh, yeah, all year I've been getting comments about, are we doing a Thanksgiving video? All year. Which, and thank you. You know, I mean, that, yeah. And that's why it didn't matter. It doesn't matter. It didn't matter what the rain was. It didn't matter if I was going to have to chain up in four-wheel drive to get back up there to finish it. We were getting that video done for you guys. And we're going to try to continue. And we're out here today. It's a different format. It's not as funny as Paul's Fruitcake where the jumped into the trap one year. But hopefully you got some fun out of it. And, you know, got some stories and some reminiscing with us.
Probably have some more Paul stories in the future, but that's all I want to share right now.
Yeah, I mean, this is the first time we've gotten together to, you know, kind of mourn as a group. It's still recent and at times painful. And every once in a while I think, oh, I need to ask Paul that question. And I can't. You know, I mean, it took me, a month. It took for me to quit thinking, oh, I'll call him on my way to work and see what we're doing. And so.
Yeah, me too. I'd have a question, a gun question. He was my go-to guy for guns.
Yes.
Yep. He knew everything there was.
Yes. And
Yeah. Finally figured out how to explain the need for the 6.5 Grendel to him. I don't know if he'd have bought that or not, but yeah, it sucks. You know, you lose a friend and a resource.
It is. Yep.
It's you know, so we get by and we learn and we grow and we honor the memory of our friends by doing the things we do.
Plus, you know, the competitive back and forth buying stuff with him
Oh,
too.
yeah.
Oh, hey, look what I've got. Oh, well, shoot, I got to run out and go get one of these to compete
One
with
better.
it. Oh man, that was so much fun. Oh my goodness, that's why we had the giant handgun, you know,
Yep.
deal where 44. Oh, then I got the 500. Well, he went out and bought a 72 caliber pistol or a 60 caliber.
I think
black
it's
powder
69
pistol.
is, I
Yeah,
think,
something
but I
like
don't
that.
know. It's that Howda pistol.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, he had to run out and get that. Just he knew it wasn't more powerful, but he had to get something bigger. So
What was the antidote to his 444? that
I
you
had a
bought?
450 Marlin.
Okay.
I think he had the 444 before that, though.
He bought the 444 first. I bought the 450.
And for some reason, we never, see, we got the 450s before 4570 jumped off the charts.
Right.
And the 450 and the 4570 and those guide guns came out I think at the same time. And for whatever reason, 4570, I don't know if it was less recoil, it was always out there, whatever. It has screamed off in popularity.
Yes, it has.
4570, and anyway,
Well, I think
that's
they
a different
started
story. But
making them good enough that they could handle modern loads. I think was
yes, and guys can hand load them up to the 450 Marlin
Yes.
specs.
Yep.
And you can download it if you want a less recoiling target round or whatever.
Right.
And it's just everywhere. 4570 is. So anyway, and we never really got into the 4570 caliber, but he wanted a lever gun that was better than the 30-30. And 444 is up there, obviously. And then he put those 44 mag bullets into it and loaded them hotter than heck, and
Did you
could
end
blow
up
the
with
heck
a
out of.
44 pistol, the BFR also.
No, there's a fella on the Facebook
Yep.
fan club who has it.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
And he and I have talked back and forth a little bit. In the filming today, there were only like 7 or 8 of them left, but Paul had loaded some relatively hot 444 loads using pistol bullets,
Yes.
which have the thinner jacket on them,
Yes.
and
They were
they
devastating.
are
You should see what
devastating.
it
Gosh,
looks
they're
like when it
devastating.
hits a deer. It looks like you had scooped something out of the side of that deer and just chucked it.
And that's the impact zone.
It literally threw several of the soda bottles that we shot at
Oh.
long range out of the way. We didn't get a chance to shoot them because they were just collateral damage. I said,
Well, that's another thing about Paul. He was insistent on using, for his videos, using ammo.
Power.
Well, ammo that you could buy off the shelf.
Yep.
You know, he
Yes.
shot lots of my reloads, and I offered, hey, you want to use these in your videos? He goes, no, and he explains why, and it makes perfect sense because he wanted the audience to be able to replicate it if they want to. Go out and buy the same ammo that he's shooting in his videos. So that's where you get, in this hand, Remington green and white box.
Right.
And with
Yeah.
that is a great place to end our video for this Thanksgiving Christmas special. Thank you for watching.
Merry Christmas.
I'll hit on that really quick is that this channel is about the common person, the people that have 444s and 12 gauges and 6.5 Grendels, but stuff that you can buy off the shelf that isn't special order is just common folk information. None of us claim to be super special about anything. We're just here
Regular Joes
with our solo
Dudes who
stove,
shoot.
having fun. Yes. And
that have known each other for
Too
longer
many
than-
years.
Yeah.
so thank you. Merry Christmas. And with that, we'll talk to you later.